All right, guys, what's going on? It's Jack, and welcome back to another video. And out of the 7+ years that I've been doing this, and obviously the first 6 of those 7 years being strictly a Call of Duty commentary type of channel, I'd never done one of these. So I figured, why not? People are still doing them to this day, and it's be a fun little video. So without further ado, this video could be longer than I expected. So let's not get into it now. This is strictly going to be the multiplayer side of things, number one. And number two, I am not going to grade anything before Modern Warfare 2, the original Modern Warfare 2, because I actually did not play Call of Duty before Modern Warfare 2. So I actually did not play the original COD 4. I was still very much deep into Halo. And I have not played World at War. So I can't really grade that either. So, but both of those are excellent games, and I would probably go back and forth in terms of whether to give it an S or an A. But if for those of you guys that are curious, like if I had to grade them right now based off of what I've seen and what I've, after all these years of Call of Duty and everything like that, I'll show you right now. As a matter of fact, we don't have to count these, but this is my opinion based off of everything that I've seen in terms of Call of Duty 4 and World at War. COD 4 goes up to S tier. Simple as that. There would be no Call of Duty that we would be getting today, or, for the legendary run that it had. COD 4 was the start of all of that, and it started getting people's attention. So COD 4 is the foundation of every single Call of Duty that we've ever had. Again, with the previous games, I don't fully know enough, and I certainly haven't seen enough, so I couldn't even judge that. But COD 4 was that major leap, and that pretty much started it all. It started it just started everything. And that's how I feel about COD 4. And World at War was the next game after that, and it certainly did a lot of things right, but it couldn't quite reach the legendary status that that COD 4 had. But it was still very solid, so I would actually give this an A. That's where I would put this one at. So judging off of, again, everything that I've seen. So that's where I would put those two. So again, we don't have to count them, but I'm going to put them up there because I truly believe that those games deserve to be honored, and obviously I give them high scores. So yeah, let's get into the games that I've actually gotten my hands on, and some of these rankings, remember, this is my list, this is my humble opinion, and enjoyment does play a factor out of it as well. So there is no single Call of Duty multiplayer game without sin. let's just put that out there. There's a love-hate relationship with some of these Call of Duties, but ultimately, do I love them more? Do I hate them more? So okay, so we're gonna start with Modern Warfare 2. So where is Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2? Where you at? There you are. So Modern Warfare 2 was basically like a pizza that had a shit ton of toppings, like a lot of toppings. So, but it was a good pizza, right? All the weapons were very powerful. There was a lot of broken shit in the game, but at the same time, Modern Warfare 2 really does represents the ultimate casual game experience. This was before the days of strict skill-based matchmaking. It was actually the first Call of Duty to where we had a lot of streaks to choose from. You can choose up to 3 streaks of your choosing or whatnot, and each one of them had different tiers. Of course, you had the nuke. They actually stacked, which a lot of people saw as a good thing. The idea of balance with Modern Warfare 2 was everything is strong. So very, very legendary type of game, but at the same time, it was also very broken. But back in those days, nobody really cared. So where do I put Modern Warfare 2? It's very, very difficult, but I will say that for the kind of impact that game had as well, which these games, like for instance, COD 4 had a major impact, which is one of the reasons why I put it up so high. Modern Warfare 2 was the king when it came out. Every single person on my friends list was playing Modern Warfare 2, and I didn't even join that until later on. And it was actually the guy at Walmart that said, hey, if you want to play a multiplayer game, Modern Warfare 2 is where it's at. So for a multitude of those kind of reasons and what Modern Warfare 2 truly meant back then and what it represented and the legendary status that it has even today by the opinions of so many gamers. But in terms of my opinion as well, it's like you can't really ignore it. You got to, a part of me doesn't want to put it at S tier, but you just got to accept it. You know, it's like you can't, again, the times back then were different, so we can't judge it like we would judge a game today. So at least I don't want to, but I would still put it at, I would put Modern Warfare 2 at an S because it just represented so much of what was fun in a Call of Duty game, and balance back then didn't matter as much. That's how casual it was, and that's how casual gaming was as well. So, yeah, and the impact of Modern Warfare 2 was absolutely tremendous. You had to be around to understand. So yeah, Modern Warfare 2. It's forced my hand to put an S. You can't really deny it. So okay, let's go to the next one. Call of Duty Black Ops. You know, Call of Duty Black Ops for back in the day, it was like the first Call of Duty that represented balance, right? It wanted to do something that Modern Warfare didn't. It wanted to make the game a little bit more competitive. There was, you know, the whole design philosophy of the game that was its own flavor and it was different. There were just so many factors with this game. And again, I want to talk about the campaign and zombies, but this is strictly multiplayer, so that's what we have to base it off of. So the combat record is to this day the best, if not one of the best combat records ever. Like probably the best overall. The combat record was amazing. There were a lot of good guns. Assault rifle were usually good ones, but at the same time, if you had some skill, you could definitely wreck with submachine guns that didn't have to be the AK-74U or the MP5K. The streaks were good. They didn't stack, so you had to get gun kills. Again, one of the major things that they brought back for balance and a different kind of map design than what we got with Modern Warfare 2. And I personally like Black Ops 1 from a multiplayer perspective more than Modern Warfare 2, which is why Black Ops 1 truly does deserve its place in the S tier, in my opinion. Too damn legendary of a game. You just really can't deny it, man. So this was Treyarch's very first big hit because, like, some people would argue World at War was as well, but again, I don't fully know because I didn't play it. But Black Ops really just as an entire package and including the multiplayer in terms of what you got and how you did it and the party games and all that kind of stuff. Like, it was literally like if Modern Warfare 2 was heads, Black Ops would be tails. You know, it was two sides of the same coin, and Treyarch really did a tremendous job. And it was also the precursor of one of the best Call of Duty games ever made. But with that being said, we're going in order on this. So we're going to go to the next one, which is Modern Warfare 3. So Modern Warfare 3 was basically Modern Warfare 2 more balanced and less broken. Granted, there were a few things, just like every other Call of Duty out there. There were certainly things in the game that were broken, but not necessarily like, how do I put this? Not to the exact extent of Modern Warfare 2. Obviously, SITREP Pro was something that a lot of people used. It was just so overpowered. That MP7 was legendary. It was just an all-purpose weapon. It, put a silencer, use the 2 attachment proficiency on that sucker, put a silencer on there and rapid fire, and you are good to go. You really don't need anything else, really. That gun was amazing. And at the same time, it wasn't like, to some extent, I mean, as a submachine gun, it was the best one in my overall opinion, humbly speaking. But it wasn't like, it was very strong, but it wasn't like crazy overpowered. You know what I mean? Because usually when something is quote unquote crazy overpowered, I mean, it hits different. But at the same time, I'm sure those people that didn't even use a suppressor and just use rapid fire and extended mags or something like that, or a grip or something like that, would they'd wreck even more with that. And that thing had tremendous range. So yeah, I guess it was a little overpowered. Not the craziest overpowered weapon I've seen. So yeah, but the maps were pretty solid for Infinity Ward games. And they introduced Specialist, which was awesome. So there were a couple of kill streaks and specialists that didn't belong. I mean, not in support that didn't belong. But like again, every single Call of Duty has a sin, has some major sins going on. But with that being said, it's not really it is what it is. But Modern Warfare 3 is overall an excellent game. Lots of good guns, lots of good maps. Their design philosophy, you could see what they were going for. But legendary status, not too sure. However, it is definitely, in my opinion, an A tier of a game. So many good things. A hell of a lot more good things to say about Modern Warfare 3 than bad things to say about Modern Warfare 3. So there we have it. Going on to the next one. What came after Modern Warfare 3? Oh yes, of course. Call of Duty Black Ops 2. I don't think I really need to say anything further, but Black Ops 2 belongs in S tier. It took a lot of what Black Ops 1 did, and in terms of multiplayer, and basically amplified it. In my experience, the hit detection with Black Ops 2 was better than Black Ops 1, despite the fact that Black Ops 2's hit detection wasn't always on par. But when you look at the weapons, the kind of balance that they tried to achieve for the competitive scene, the pick 10 system, the map design, everybody was easily visible, the different attachments on the weapons, some new attachments that they came up with that you can kind of mix and match. It was a Call of Duty that was balanced, as balanced as you can get, but at the same time super casual friendly. And there were a few things here and there that were broken, that's for sure. But again, it was like a broken balance, but yet broken type of game. And it paved the way for competitive Call of Duty, man. To this day, the competitive scene still considers Black Ops 2 the overall best, the majority of the competitive scene at least. Opinions obviously do vary, but Black Ops 2 is definitely a S tier Call of Duty, one of the best that we've ever had, hands down. All right, so moving on to the next one, we have Call of Duty Ghosts. Now, obviously, it was a different flavor than Black Ops 2, right? Call of Duty Ghosts, the problem with Call of Duty Ghosts was it was partially... the thing is, Black Ops 2 was so good that Call of Duty Ghosts lost a little bit of its thunder because of the direction that they were headed in. However, Infinity Ward, it was one of the times where this Infinity Ward actually proved that they listened very well, because Call of Duty Ghosts had some of the best DLC ever. Like, you had like the Halloween themed types of maps. You had what was it, Michael Myers, who was actually more powerful than the Juggernaut. I remember Drifter did a video on that than the Juggernaut Maniac. And of course you had the what was that hybrid weapon? It was the assault rifle SMG hybrid weapon. I can't think of it right now at the moment. I apologize, but the DLC for this game was good. The overall map design, especially when you compare it to the maps today, I mean, sure, the maps were bigger and the time to kill was very fast. It was pretty much like a precursor of what we got with Modern Warfare 2019. However, it still retained that arcade style feel. It kind of went, it slowed the pacing down a little bit from what Call of Duty Black Ops 2 did in terms of map design and stuff like that. However, they still presented us with a whole bunch of gems, man. They presented us with a whole bunch of gems. And the gems that they presented were like Cranked. That mode was good. I mean, the weapons were good. The create a class was unique. They nerfed specialists, which pissed a lot of people off, and the kill streaks. Most of them weren't all that powerful or whatnot, but some of them were. Like the Griffin was actually pretty good. The dog was overpowered, but again, every single Call of Duty creates a sin. But in terms of my experience with the game and everything like that, it's Call of Duty Ghosts was solid, but it wasn't S tier. And in my opinion, and with my experience overall, it wasn't an A tier either. But it is definitely worthy of a B tier, because it retained a lot of what made Call of Duty great in the first place, and it tried to innovate in its own way, but it just kind of missed the mark a little bit. So that's my take on Call of Duty Ghosts. Okay, so now after Call of Duty Ghosts, we're entering into the advanced movement era, and Advanced Warfare was the first one, and it was the first one that literally, like, one of the things that Advanced Warfare definitely did that was a big hit or miss with the fans, it was innovative. Advanced Warfare was very innovative because obviously the movement was fresh. Black Ops 3 and Infinite Warfare's movement was pretty much identical, but the advanced movement in Advanced Warfare was like its own fresh take. And obviously, in my opinion, the map design in that game was actually pretty solid, in my humble opinion. Some of the maps were really good, and in my opinion, some, not many, but some of the maps are legendary status in my book, believe it or not. I know a lot of people would disagree with that, but I humbly believe that. A lot of people were moving around. I remember when that game came out, it's like all the content creators were like, hey, you want to succeed a little bit more? Slow down. You guys are going too fast. Obviously, anybody that had a scuff back in those days would reign supreme unless you played Claw. So a lot of regular players that didn't have one at the time, like myself, up until I didn't get one until later, and I went back and played, and it was like playing a completely different game, a lot more fun. But yeah, the advanced movement was something that the skilled player can certainly take advantage of. The streaks were okay. Actually, the streaks were not too crazy good. There were only like 2 or 3 of them that were good. But they also had modules, so you can change them, make them more expensive, but make them more powerful or whatnot. So there is that. The create a class system was pick 13, but again, not as good as pick 10. And obviously, pretty much almost everybody used very similar setups because some of the other perks just didn't matter as much because of the advanced movement and just the overall design of the game. So when you look at it overall, Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, in my opinion, very solid, but not legendary. But at the same time, it was quite innovating for its time, and the game also looked good. But again, there was skill-based matchmaking, and then there was the weapon variants and stuff like that. Again, another mixed bag. But overall, with my experience playing the game, I'm gonna put it right here with Ghosts on B tier. So it's better than a C, but it's not as good as an A. So B just makes sense, at least in my book, with my experience and with my humble opinion. So moving on to the next one, Black Ops 3. Black Ops 3 had a lot of shoes, like they had big shoes to fill. This game had so many big shoes to fill, it was ridiculous. So, almost as legendary as Black Ops 2. But they toned down the advanced movement, which made a lot of fans happy. But at the same time, there was advanced movement. The weapons were good. There was a lot to grind for. Skill-based matchmaking was pretty much removed from what Advanced Warfare did, and what they did was they added like lobby balancing or whatever, which is the lesser of two evils. Streaks were good. Maps were good. Weapons were good. There was some broken stuff, but that's not on the devs. But man, Black Ops 3, amazing game. Not quite as innovating or as legendary as Black Ops 2. It didn't raise the bar that much, and in some ways it took a few steps back, but it still retained a lot of what made the Black Ops games great in the first place. It was definitely a Treyarch game, and there was Treyarch DNA written all over it. So not quite the status of Black Ops 2, but still amazing. So I give Black Ops 3 a solid A. It's a solid A. It's almost close to an S, but it's a solid A. So, all right. Moving on to the next game. What came after that? Oh, yes. Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. Very similar to what Black Ops 3 did, but in some ways better and in other ways worse. So, Advanced Warfare. Wow. Some ways better and in some ways worse. I had a lot of really good experiences with this game. It wasn't, again, with me, I keep going back and forth because in some ways it was better, some ways it was worse. You can actually grind for the weapons and stuff like that. I mean, when you look at it as an overall game, when you look at the campaign and all that other stuff, like for instance, the campaign in this game was better than the campaign in this game. And then they had their own special take on zombies, which was really unique, that a lot of players are saying to this day was actually pretty damn good. But in my humble opinion, Infinite Warfare is obviously hated so much by the community, but in my eyes and in my experience, after I gave it my full time, and when I really dug into the game and gave it effort, I came out of the other side with a smile on my face overall. And I played that game a lot. As a matter of fact, this game is also responsible, with the amount of times I played it and streamed it, this game was responsible for me getting to affiliate, believe it or not, on Twitch. But that wouldn't even be a question if I didn't stream it as much as I did. And the reason why I streamed it as much as I did was because I actually enjoyed the game. And there was a grind factor to get the weapons and stuff like that without having to pay for anything. And even though the maps were obviously, it was a very futuristic game, but that's just the skin. But in terms of how everything played, it was really good. There were broken things in the game, but that's like it for every Call of Duty. So, but not. I mean, it is what it is, man. Infinite Warfare, in my opinion, is up there with Black Ops 3 in terms of my experience and the fun factor. It really is as simple as that. Again, very similar to two sides of the same coin. Black Ops 3 was heads, Infinite Warfare was tails. Advanced Warfare was just too different to be the same side of the coin for these two. But these two are too damn good and too similar. So it's like I personally enjoyed both of them. That was my overall experience. So very underrated and hated by the majority of the community, but I am not one of these people. After I gave it a whole bunch of time, I just basically hit the reset button on my brain and just gave the game a fair shot, and wham bam, there you go. Okay, moving on to the next one. What came after Infinite Warfare? Oh yes. Call of Duty World War II. Everybody was ready for boots on the ground to come back again. And like the rest of the fans, I myself expected kind of like this era of Black Ops 2, but with a skin of Call of Duty World War II. And we didn't quite get that because of the creative class. Obviously, with the overhaul, it boosted up a tier for me. So if this was a D, it would go up to a C. If it was a C, it would go up to a B. The maps and the spawns, some of them solid, and then some of them not so much, especially after post-launch maps. But like, for instance, London Docks is one of the best maps in Call of Duty history, in my humble opinion. And again, the DLC maps overall that we ended up getting pretty solid. The base of the game was there. Unfortunately, skill-based matchmaking once again reared its ugly head with this game, according to a lot of people. Later on, after the game's year, it kind of skill-based matchmaking kind of disappeared. I don't know if it's something that they did with the overhaul or whatever it was. I don't know, but a lot of people were crying skill-based matchmaking. Me, in the beginning of this game, I just wasn't really that good at it, and I was still very much into this game, and I would still play this game a lot because I wasn't really into it. And then I just said, "Fuck it, I'm gonna do with World War II what I did with Infinite Warfare." And basically, what that means is I was gonna just put my time into effort in World War II, and then after that overhaul, things just got way better, and I discovered obviously a class that just worked to my liking, and I liked the fact that you could grind for so many weapons, and the weapons were really good. And there was the headquarters system, which no other Call of Duty had done at the time, which was really good. Multiple prestiges and stuff like that, and a lot of love from the devs, especially after Condrey and Schofield left. So overall, especially after the overhaul, which is what this grade's going to be based off of, very solid. But in my opinion, it just fell very short of that A tier. So I'm going to put Call of Duty World War II at a B. Okay. Next up, we got Black Ops 4. Now, in terms of the way they handled the specialists in this game was just very, very cheesy. But, you had a time to kill that was really solid. They balanced the creative class in different ways to where you couldn't have certain attachments on certain weapons. But the attachments you had obviously made the weapon better. There were operator mods. The Treyarch map design element was there. It was basically almost like what Black Ops 3 would be, but boots on the ground. I guess that's what they were going for. In some ways, they succeeded. In some ways, it wasn't quite there. It was a mixed opinion between the community on whether or not they would keep specialists, but they ended up keeping specialists. They were originally going to go in a different direction with this game, so they obviously introduced Blackout. If Blackout wasn't implemented in this game, I'm pretty sure it would score even higher because we would have even more multiplayer maps on launch, and probably a little bit more weapons, a little bit more content in terms of the multiplayer. But again, we can't really put that on the devs. We just have to basically grade off of what we got. And Black Ops 4, because of the increase of time to kill, also in terms of regular gunplay, added it kind of helped widen the skill gap a little bit. The team balancing from Black Ops 3 was still there, but overall, Black Ops 4, very solid. Again, took a few steps forward from what Black Ops 3 did, and at the same time took a few steps back. So again, based off of that and with my experience, I'd have to say it's a solid Call of Duty, and it's a classic one and a good one, and it's arcadey, just like Call of Duty is meant to be. So not quite legendary status, but a solid A in my opinion. And again, with a lot of these games, there were times where I went back and forth because, like, at times I would just hate the game, and then I ended up loving the game after it's like full year after I really dedicated my time into it. So I'm like, okay, overall at the end of the day, it's you have to give the games a fair shot. So yeah. Okay, all right. Now on to the nitty gritty. Modern Warfare 2019. One of the least played Call of Duties that I've ever played. Now, with that being said, I will judge fairly. And I'm not going to put it in trash. Because it did a lot of really cool things. And at the same time, it did a lot of uncool things. So it really is a mixed bag for me. The gameplay philosophy and everything like that. I mean, the game looked good, but at the same time, it's not all about looks. Like, for instance, if this game had more maps, kind of like Shootout, for instance, or Gun Runner, or maybe Hackney Yard, but just modified maybe a little bit here and there, and with the footsteps being a little bit not as loud or whatnot, it would have been a hell of a fun game. But they just went in a completely different direction, and which ended up changing the way you had to play the game, which was against what Call of Duty is, at least to me. Overall, the map design philosophy, not really that much to my liking personally and everything. So, again, this might be controversial, but again, this is my list. This is my opinion. This is my experience. And I just couldn't come back to play this game very much, but I played it enough in order to know whether I truly like it or not, without being like, without having my feelings of passion like ruin my judgment. So for me, Modern Warfare 2019 is a D. Now the next one, Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, retained some of what Modern Warfare 2019 did in terms of the creative class, the pros and cons and stuff like that. It tried to ease up on it a little bit, but there was always a back and forth. So, there was dead silence or ninja in the game, so you can move more. And then the map design philosophy was better, more arcadey, a little bit more towards the Treyarch side, which was good. So from a gameplay perspective, it was better, and I played it more than I played this game, but it was, at the same time, it just wasn't entertaining enough. It wasn't as boring as this game, but it was, I don't know what it is about the game. It was boring. I mean, you always got your kill streaks no matter what, or your score streaks, so that's another factor as well. So it's like, what? I don't know, man. I don't get it. It's, obviously things were broken in the game, and just like everything else, just like any other Call of Duty. Pros and cons, you saw some Treyarch DNA in there, and then you saw something completely different, which I believe just didn't mix, didn't belong. It had to go either one way or another. But overall, in terms of what they offered, it was a more fun game to play because of the fact that you had more options in terms of how you actually did play. And it still retained that Treyarch of, you can have some goofy ass classes and be, and be really, and succeed or whatnot. Again, broken as hell, but again, that's part of Treyarch. In Black Ops 4, same thing. Black Ops 3, same thing. So, Cold War, slightly, very, very, I almost have it here, but very, very, very slightly better. because I enjoyed it more because it allowed me to move around as opposed to being too one-sided. Call of Duty Vanguard, yeah, a lot of what Modern Warfare 2019 did, but at the same time, there were a lot of things in the game that were incomplete. Again, I've actually played this game less than I played Modern Warfare. Once I got to second prestige, which was, very fast time to kill, map design that kind of went back and forth in terms of what Treyarch did and what Modern Warfare 2019 did. It seemed like it was a game that just didn't know what the hell to do, and it was literally all over the place. And they had some cool things, but it was just it just really missed its mark, at least for me. And it's like even here's the thing that is going to get this to the tier that it is. It gave me the freedom to run around, which is obviously a big game changer for me. But that really didn't make a difference in terms of whether or not I was entertained. And it's got nothing to do with the skill-based matchmaking. Everything like Advanced Warfare, World War II, Cold War, Modern Warfare 2019, all those games had skill-based matchmaking in them, right? I mean, to where you could tell it was pretty strict. At least during the year when they were out, right? World War II and Advanced Warfare seemed to cool off with the skill-based matchmaking after the first year or whatnot, and when the next game came out. So, but I mean, it really didn't make a difference for me with this game. It still wouldn't have been nearly as fun. The whole game felt like it was hardcore, and I just really did not enjoy this game. And again, there were still pros and cons with the weapons and all that kind of stuff, which these guys did as well. And it's basically like Modern Warfare 2019 for me, but much to my surprise, like less enjoyable. But part of me doesn't want to give the game trash. It just wants to put it here because very similar to this, but it just didn't change in terms of how I felt about it. I mean, but Modern Warfare was a better game than this game. Like, not like overall Modern Warfare was better because it was more complete and all that kind of stuff, and it wasn't a mixed bag. They deliberately made the design to make Modern Warfare 2019 what it was. And Call of Duty Vanguard, it almost seems like they didn't know which direction to head in, at least. But the fact that you can let me run around, but I'm still not enjoying myself is something that and I can't put it at the same tier as Modern Warfare 2019 because I feel like Modern Warfare 2019 overall was better. Despite the fact that I really didn't enjoy it all that much, I can still feel a difference in terms of how satisfying it is to, like, if I ever reach a level, if I ever have a little bit of fun with this game, okay, but in this game, I just never really fully reached that. It was like I couldn't get any dopamine for the life of me. So, yeah, I have to put this down here because it's not as good. It breaks my heart to do it, but it just wasn't as good as Modern Warfare 2019. Modern Warfare 2019 as a whole was better. In multiplayer. Cold War, just slightly better than Modern Warfare 2019 because I enjoyed playing it and it kept me going for a while. So, and if I had to choose any one of these to play, it would be Cold War. Simple as that. Like if you were to say, "Hey Jack, play a Call of Duty game," and you got to play it for a week, which one would you choose? I'd choose this one. So, yeah, obviously these three I couldn't grade, but this is overall my Call of Duty tier list. And again, this is a pretty lengthy video, but I wanted to kind of just explain my thoughts on it. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So let me know down in the comment section what you think, what your tier list is. I'm really curious to know because I've always been fascinated ever since making this channel and ever since communicating more with the community after gaining a certain amount of followers on here. I'm always curious as to what people's points of view are, and I really want to know what your points of view are, and what's your tier list like. I'm really curious and why. So, but that's it. That's it. That's all I got, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I know this one's a very lengthy, but necessary, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.